A hiker finds human remains in southern Utah belonging to a missing woman.
How is it possible that now two of my family members, they just find the remaining?
Tonight, the family who's dealt with tragedy like this before with an unsolved murder in Utah County.
Here's one, here's two, and even 3 storms on the way this week. I'll let you know all about it.
It's the busiest fire station in Sandy with some big problems. From the firefighters leaving to their building not being up to fire code. Why the department says it's a breaking point.
Itchy skin, feeling sick, and residents saying something just doesn't taste right.
Weird, salty, thick, oily.
The growing concern over water in one Utah city and what officials are saying tonight.
And have you seen these billboards?
We all know that Charles Barkley's good at dishing it out, and I'm sure that he can take it as well.
How they're tied to the NBA All-Star Game and the comment about Salt Lake City that didn't sit well with one man.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
A second tragic loss, but some closure tonight for the Salgado family. Missing since 2021, now 44-year-old Miriam Salgado's remains have been found.
Her body was discovered by a hiker over the weekend near Sheep Bridge Road near Virgin. Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree explains why this kind of grief is all too familiar for this family.
We don't know why things happen like this. We don't have the answers to that.
Rosenberg Salgado says he was devastated when he heard all that was found of his missing sister were remains.
We're going through a very painful situation that no one will want to go through as a family.
Rosenberg still grieving the death of his niece, Elizabeth.
How is it possible that now two of my family members, they just find the remaining?
Elizabeth Salgado was reported missing out of Provo in April of 2015. Her remains were found in Hobble Creek Canyon in Utah County in May of 2018. Her aunt, Miriam Salgado, last seen in August of 2021, and her remains found this past weekend.
Obviously, there is somebody that is out there killing people, you know what I mean? And they killed my niece and my sister. We don't know what happened to her. If there was another crime and if it was the same person that did it to my niece, or we don't know.
Rosenberg says his sister's car was found abandoned the day after his family reported her missing, and he doesn't understand how it took more than a year and a half to find her remains only half a mile from where her car was found.
We just would love to have that justice, like, as soon as possible, right?
Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The man who ran over and killed a pregnant Salt Lake woman last spring was sentenced today. Jack Keith Archibald will face a minimum 1 year to a maximum of 20 years in prison for striking and killing 24-year-old Libby Allen with his car last May. Both Libby and her unborn child died. Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill says Archibald was at more than double the legal blood alcohol limit. He also had drugs in his system at the time of the crash.
Sandy police have arrested a 38-year-old woman in connection with an apartment complex fire early yesterday morning. It sent 2 police officers and a tenant to the hospital with smoke inhalation and damaged about 12 apartments. Police say Crystal Moss admitted setting the fire when she ignited a, quote, tree of life as part of a ritual to burn away the negative energy in her life. She told police she didn't want to hurt anyone. Police say Moss didn't tell anyone when the flames got out of control. She was arrested on suspicion of arson. Today, an avalanche was triggered in the Big Cottonwood Canyon backcountry near Donut Falls.
Unified Police say someone driving on the road saw the avalanche, also saw a skier near it, and was worried people may be trapped, so they called 911. Multiple agencies checked it out. They saw no signs of anyone trapped, including no signals from avalanche beacons, which would indicate if someone was there.
That avalanche, the one that we're looking at here, has been reported to the Utah Avalanche Center. On the north side, they've had a couple more avalanches, and those have been reported too. And that's important to know because the avalanche dangers marked as considerable.
Well, the Utah Avalanche Center says it seems like the avalanche was remotely triggered by skiers on an adjacent slope.
There is considerable avalanche danger right now along the Wasatch Front, and there is high danger in parts of the Uintas. If you're heading into the backcountry, check for specifics at utahavalanchecenter.org.
And it is likely we'll see even more snow tonight into the early morning hours, Dan.
Yes, that's right. In fact, it may even last until about noon. Alta has seen 42 inches of snow in the last couple of days, and they've had as much as 185 inches of snow on the ground. No wonder we're having so much trouble with the avalanches. Here's the system that will be moving in to our area probably a little bit later in the morning, about the drive time to noon time frame. It's plastering the mountains of California with very heavy snow, but it doesn't seem to be really organized. So we've had some scattered showers. They really haven't developed into much tonight, although as we look at the latest radar, you can see a couple of them east of, well, I guess they'd be right over the top of the Ogden Valley and just to the east of the Snow Basin area. Also a couple of showers out here along the interstate. We'll watch them carefully for you. Outside right now in St. George is 46, and in Salt Lake City, with some clouds that are lowering around us and overcast skies, it's 32. More on that storm coming in tomorrow, and sorry about this, bigger storm on Wednesday, and then even bigger storms for the weekend. Will there be rain or snow? I'll let you know.
All right, Dan, thanks so much. Last summer, 6 firefighters left the Sandy Fire Department to find jobs at neighboring agencies, saying the department didn't have enough staff to feel safe on the job.
And now the mayor, Monica Zoltansky, has since made changes to require more people on calls. But the fire chief tells Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser more needs to happen to get these firemen to stay. Emily.
This is Fire Station 31, one of Sandy's 5 fire stations and its busiest. It's been here at 9000 South and 150 East since 1983, but the fire chief says the department has outgrown this space.
We change out the ceiling tiles monthly, just kind of a work in progress.
Leaking ceilings.
Next day after the earthquake, we came out and there was lots of chunks of concrete.
Earthquake damage to the foundation.
The foundation and the stem walls there, but there's another big section. You can see the rebars exposed. These are bedrooms on the other side of this wall. Currently not in code because there's no outside window.
And the building, ironically, not up to fire code. These are the conditions at the Sandy Fire Department's busiest station.
You know, firefighters spend 1/3 of their lives in a fire station. And when you consider that amount of time, and a fire station really is their home, away from home.
Fire Chief Jeff Bassett says the department hit its breaking point in July.
We lost 6 firefighters at once who went to adjoining cities who are staffing appropriately.
For years, the department only had 2 firefighters per engine. In comparison, Murray has 3 and the Unified Fire Authority has 4.
You don't have enough resources, you can't come in and be effective in what we're doing.
This is the new normal moving forward in Sandy, and we're not going back to two-handed.
Sandy Mayor Monica Zoltansky moved the department's minimum to 3. She says the change brought immediate benefits.
To have a piece of equipment, an apparatus out at a fire and a response with just 2 to manage it and run the scene, it's not enough. 3 isn't even enough, but it's moving us in the right direction as a city.
The city hopes a brand new Station 31 can bring in more firefighters and make them stay for the safety of Sandy.
Constantly, every day, our firefighters see things that are not only physically demanding, emotionally demanding, mentally demanding. So we need to create space for them to de-stress, refocus, and be ready for that next call.
The new station would move near the RSL Stadium on an expanded Monroe Street. The project is still not approved. It could cost the city $11 to $15 million. The mayor and the fire chief hope construction can start later this year. Reporting live in Sandy, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A scary scenario in southern Utah this morning when a van came crashing through the wall of a quilt shop.
for a moment just said, "Can this be true?" and then just crashed.
I spoke with the owner about what happened.
Plus, stepping up to help a four-legged friend in the cold. What one of the city of Ogden's finest did to save a dog during last night's snowstorm.
College football has begun at BYU. They had their first spring practice today as they get ready for their first season in the Big 12.
A man with a machete was arrested outside a West Valley City elementary school this morning. Gabriel Daniel Martinez was seen walking around with a machete in his hand. When officers confronted him, he admitted to using meth and believed someone was after him. After searching Martinez, police found a pipe with residue inside. He did admit to using it earlier that day. He's now being held on a $2,500 bond.
It was a startling moment at the Clover Patch Quilt Shop in Santa Clara this morning. A van backed clear through a wall, slightly injuring the shop owner. Jill Muhlstein says she and her sister Alice Faber were talking when the van crashed through the wall, sending 373 bolts of fabric flying through the air and pushing a printer into the back of Jill's head.
I am literally here in the doctor's office right now to be checked out to make sure everything's okay. The EMTs said my vitals were fine, but I just want to make sure there's no residual, even back injury or whatever.
Was anybody else hurt? Anybody else in the store at the time?
There was quite a few, probably 7 or 8 people in the store at the time. And they all came running to that room because they actually thought an earthquake or something was going on.
Jill and Alice say the woman who was driving the van was not hurt. She told a customer her shoe came off and stuck on the accelerator as she was backing up. The shop will remain closed for the next few days as they clean up the mess and regroup.
Today, officials broke ground on the new Cache Valley Transit District and Administration Facility. The $56 million facility will be about 110,000 square feet. It will include maintenance bays, vehicle washes, enclosed bus storage, also on-site fueling and administrative offices. It's located at 3021 North, 300 West in North Logan. It should be finished sometime next year.
Today, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall and the City Department of Economic Development announced the launch of an outdoor dining grant program. The program would help restaurants and bars that were negatively impacted by the pandemic. Now, to apply, the businesses must be in a fixed location and have a current business license. Applications are open through May 30th. Grants are issued on a first-come, first-served basis or until the funds are no longer available.
An Ogden police officer went above and beyond the call of duty to rescue this pup lost during last night's snowstorm. Police say the dog had gotten loose from its owners near the Waterfall Canyon parking lot. Several nearby residents heard the dog. They called 911 saying the dog sounded like it was in distress. An animal service officer hiked the Bonneville Shoreline Trail to find the dog and was able to reunite it with the owners. That picture just speaks volumes, doesn't it? With the dog just sitting there kind of like, thank you.
Yeah, even the animals don't like all the snow anymore.
It's been tough.
Dan, come on.
Oh, you're going to blame me for it, huh?
Why not?
Okay, go ahead.
You got broad shoulders.
If it makes you feel better, everybody out there, go ahead and blame me. It's my fault. I wish it was my fault because then I could control the weather.
Well, you do have powerful computers.
Oh, I do. Yes, indeed. We do have a storm, though. We've got another one. It's coming in tomorrow, and a bigger one is going to arrive on Wednesday. And then after that, it gets warmer, so the storms that come in may not be all snow. Maybe you won't have a problem with that, but the mountains could be hit hard. 32 in Salt Lake City right now. It's 21 in Ely, down to 11 degrees in Bryce Canyon. Vernal is 25. There could be a little patchy fog in a few spots, especially in those areas that still have snow on the ground. Up by Big Piney, Wyoming, yeah, could be some fog there as well. You know what it feels like with the wind? We have a northwest wind 13 miles per hour in Salt Lake City. Right now it feels like 23. Feels like 6 in Evanston, so it is a bit chilly out there. So tonight there's a jet stream that's shooting along here at about 150 to 180 miles per hour. It's churning the atmosphere, turning it over, and that's giving it lift. So what's happening is by 4 a.m. we'll start to see snow developing north of a cold front that is from about Ely over to Vernal. Watch what happens. Oh, look at that development right there. And this is right at about 9 a.m. Okay, so just as we get into that morning commute and then through about, let's see, 1 p.m., about 4 p.m., it'll continue to snow just a bit. And then that'll be gone by 6 p.m. And then on Wednesday, here we go. We start in the morning, and that jet stream still in that same spot. We have, of course, the air coming from the north, the air coming from the south, and they collide, and watch this just develop on Wednesday. Wednesday night, it'll still be snowing around 3 a.m., and then Thursday, that should scoot on out. But the storm on Wednesday night looks like it'll produce 2 to 4 inches in the valleys and 4 to 8 inches on the benches, and a foot or more in the mountains. Then we see an atmospheric river. This is going to just cream California. It sort of moves north of us. This is a warm front, so we warm up on Friday. In fact, it warms up so much by Friday as the atmospheric river arrives, it'll be rain, snow, or snow turning to rain, snow mix turning to rain Friday night and Saturday, and then kind of a mix on Saturday and Sunday. Scattered rain and snow showers, heavy snow in the mountains. Monday, we get a little lift in the jet stream, but by Tuesday, here comes another atmospheric river. It creams California. I said that before, didn't I? And then, well, it just kind of comes in, keeps hitting us. Trace to an inch in the valleys tomorrow, 1 to 3 on the benches, Wasatch Mountains 3 to 7, 4 to 9 Cottonwoods, Western Uintas 3 to 7, 1 to 2 Tooele. Okay, Salt Lake City, that 38-degree high temperature tomorrow is still 14 degrees below average. Oh my. Warmer in the south, partly cloudy. In the north, that's where the showers will be. St. George, you're going to be warm. 60 on Wednesday, 61 Thursday. Some showers taper into the area around Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it hits 70 on Monday. Now for Salt Lake City and the Wasatch Front, that chance for snow tomorrow. Again, Wednesday night, early Thursday. We warm up to 42 Thursday, 49, but rain and snow move in. Friday, Saturday, it's mostly rain. Sunday, rain, snow. And we hit 53 on Monday. Only the second time this year we've been 50 or above. And the average high is 52. So what is going on? Mother Nature.
A local D.C. crime bill is causing national lawmakers to wade in. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with where that drama stands coming up.
There is drama in the nation's capital tonight. The head of the Washington, D.C. City Council is trying to pull back a controversial crime bill after battling opposition in Congress.
Even some Democrats are worried the legislation could paint them as soft on crime. Fox's Madeline Rivera reports from Washington.
As concerns about crime grow in the nation's capital, federal and local leaders say now is not the time for leniency. At issue is a controversial criminal code bill with measures that include reducing the maximum sentences for crimes like robbery and carjacking and eliminating mandatory minimum sentences for many crimes. D.C.'s mayor vetoed the legislation in January, but the city council overrode her veto.
I've been mayor for 8 years. I have only vetoed 7 bills in that period of time. I don't do it willy-nilly.
Under the Constitution, Congress has final authority over D.C.'s laws. House Republicans stepped in with a measure to revoke the city council changes. Even President Biden said he wouldn't block Congress's moves.
The president expressed concerns on certain provisions of the D.C. crime bill.
Faced with opposition, D.C. City Council chairman says he's withdrawing the criminal code reform legislation to rework the bill and submit it at a later time.
The withdrawal means that it is no longer properly before the Congress.
But the Senate may still push forward with a vote to align with the House this week. All Senate Republicans and potentially as many as 20 Senate Democrats are planning to rebuke D.C.
People should have enough guts to vote their own vote.
If Congress rejects the criminal code bill, it will mark only the 4th time in decades that has stepped into D.C. affairs. In Washington, Mallory Rivera, Fox 13 News, Utah.
4 U.S. citizens were shot at and kidnapped in Mexico last Friday. It happened in Matamoros, which is just across the border from Brownsville, Texas. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador says the Americans went to Mexico to buy medicine and there was a confrontation between two groups. He says this may be a case of mistaken identity, and the group was unintentionally targeted. The FBI is offering a $50,000 reward for information that leads to the captive's release.
We're closely following the assault and kidnapping of 4 U.S. citizens in Matamoros, Mexico. These sorts of attacks are unacceptable.
Matamoros is one of the 6 Mexican states where the State Department tells Americans not to travel because of violent crime and kidnappings.
Nearly 24 people face domestic terrorism charges after a violent protest at a future police training facility in Atlanta. People dressed in camouflage, carrying shields, they threw rocks and Molotov cocktails at police. Luckily, no officers were hurt.
Actions such as this will not be tolerated. When you attack law enforcement officers, when you damage equipment, you are breaking the law.
People oppose this facility for different reasons. Some want to preserve the forest in that area. Others say it will increase police militarization, calling the facility Cop City.
Protests continued today in support of Chase Allen, the man who was shot and killed by Farmington police last week.
I commiserate with the mother of the loss of her son.
Police say he claimed the law didn't apply to him. What that claim really means.
I'm Amy Nay in Tooele County, where all this snow will eventually melt and start to fill up our local reservoirs. What flood mitigation efforts are already in place by the state and local authorities?
Eagle Mountain residents worried about the safety of their tap water. What the city has to say in response.
Driving through the Salt Lake Valley, you may have seen a billboard or two quoting Charles Barkley about Salt Lake City. We talked to the man behind the campaign to respond to the former round mound of rebound.
College basketball tournaments resume. Can the Cougars and Wildcats win tonight? I'll have the highlights.
Protests continued today at the Farmington police station, days after now a 25-year-old man was shot and killed by police during a traffic stop.
Police said last week that Chase Allen claimed he was independent from the laws of the land and wasn't required to provide information to the officers who pulled him over.
Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold takes a closer look at Allen's claims of individual sovereignty.
The reason why I took an interest in it because I saw a man, I saw his life taken away from him, from what I read.
With signs in hand,
everybody should be upset about this.
J.W. English and a handful of other friends and family members of Chase Allen took to the sidewalk outside the Farmington police station in protest after the 25-year-old was shot and killed by 5 Farmington police officers during a traffic stop last Wednesday.
It's not a matter of liking the police and disliking the police. It's a matter of not liking good policing.
Farmington Police Chief Eric Johnson said in a statement on Friday that an officer went to open the door as another attempted to remove Allen from the car. It was during that time, the chief said, an officer yelled gun 3 times before a brief struggle ended with shots being fired. The Standard Examiner reported Friday that the chief also said Allen's car had a placard declaring constitutional sovereignty.
Sovereign citizens believe that they have separated themselves from the United States of America and as a result do not need to follow U.S. law.
Rachel Goldwasser is a senior research analyst with the Southern Poverty Law Center's Intelligence Project.
They often will not pay taxes. That is pretty standard across the board. Many will not pay their car registration. They won't get car insurance. They don't get licenses of any kind.
She says anyone involved in the American sovereign citizenship movement is considered a U.S. citizen and mandated to follow U.S. law and expected to pay taxes. Goldwasser says by the Southern Poverty Law Center's estimation, there are hundreds of thousands of people that have separated from the United States of America and call themselves sovereign citizens, a number she says is increasing. Goldwasser says, unfortunately, law enforcement members are at the most risk when dealing with sovereign citizens.
In 2014, there was a study done by the University of Maryland's START program. They researched terrorism, and they found that law enforcement considered sovereign citizens their greatest threat.
As for those who turned out in protests, like English, he's hoping more people will join in to support Allen and his family.
Every day, we want more citizens out here with us, standing in solidarity.
Well, English tells me they plan to be out protesting again tomorrow in support of Allen and the Allen family over at Farmington Station Park, beginning at 10 a.m. In Farmington, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Salt Lake Police Department has released its response times for February. Their overall average response time for February of this year was 21 minutes and 12 seconds, which is an improvement of 6 minutes and 10 seconds compared to 1 year earlier. The times did exclude calls that were reported at the scene, also calls that were initiated by a police officer.
A new study says parents across the country were not truthful about their child's health during the pandemic. A nationwide study led in part by University of Utah scientists says about 60% reported they lied to others about their child's vaccination status when they wanted their unvaccinated children to participate in a particular activity. About 43% lied because they did not want their child to miss school, and 35% didn't disclose their child's status because they could not afford to miss work.
Utah Republican Party Chair Carson Jorgensen will not seek re-election. In an email to GOP members, Jorgensen says the party is in a great place with no outstanding debt and a sense of direction. He called on party members to respect each other even if they disagree. Jorgensen suggested that he and his trademark cowboy hat there will not be leaving politics. He has said that he's considering a run for public office. GOP delegates will pick a new party chair at the state convention in April.
When all the snow starts to melt this spring, there are concerns about flooding. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay takes a look at what the state and cities are doing to prevent problems and what you can do to help.
It's not too early to prepare. The issue is we don't really know if it's going to flood, and if so, when and where.
Wade Matthews from the Utah Division of Emergency Management speaking to me Monday from the very snowy banks of Settlement Canyon.
Where it snows and rains, it can flood.
Here in Tooele County, and there's so much snow already starting to fill up a local reservoir. And as the snow starts to melt, they're expecting a lot more water. I mean, just look at this snow.
If you've got streams or canals going past your home, make sure they're cleared of debris.
State officials now holding meetings with local municipalities, advising them to alert residents of the risks, develop a plan, and start mitigation efforts.
Clearing ditches and culverts, and homeowners can assist with that.
So Springville has taken a two-part approach.
Asking residents to clean up the creek beds and already offering free sandbags at 3 different locations in Springville, just in case.
We're doing this now in preparation so that we're not having to do it while the floods are coming down either down the creek or down the streets. Rising up against people's properties. I mean, it's always better to hit this head on.
Patrick Money from Springville City says the floods of 1983 had similar conditions, but believes a little prep can go a long way, asking homeowners to clear out gutters and storm drains.
It doesn't take much for that water to get backed up, and then it can push into properties and over roads and can cause significant damage.
What we're anticipating is that we're going to see high levels of runoff.
Unified Fire preparing for what they fear may be dangerous conditions.
Last 3 to 5 years, we haven't experienced high levels of water, right?
With this warning around our local rivers and reservoirs.
The water is cold, right? We're dealing with a lot of snow runoff.
He says don't go by the water alone, stay clear of the banks, and don't go in after someone. The cold will cause confusion and hypothermia.
What that means is when you jump into cold water, you automatically gasp for air.
Often only taking in more water and going under yourself.
We want people to have fun, but we want people to be mindful of the dangers associated with the quick water release and then the temperature of the water as well. But we'll be ready for the time when somebody does need our help in that specific instance.
But all hope a little awareness and early preparation will avert any major disaster.
I know it's still snowy and wintry outside, but if we can prepare now, then hopefully when the floods come, if they come, we'll be prepared and we will be ahead of the game.
Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
The Utah Division of Emergency Management recommends homeowners look into flood insurance. They have several resources available to prepare for possible flooding. Just go to beready.utah.gov. And of course, we can link you to that website from fox13now.com.
And Bob, while some cities prepare for potential flooding, ski resorts are preparing to extend their operations. Park City Mountain announced today it will remain open for skiing and snowboarding 2 weeks longer than planned as of now. The new closing day is April 23rd. It will be Park City Mountain's longest season since 1993. The resort has received 455 inches of snow. That is a record for this point in the season. And of course, there are still more storms to come.
Well, Eagle Mountain has changed its source for drinking water, and some residents say it's making them sick. How the city is responding.
And both Alta and Brighton are approaching 700 inches so far this season. I'm going to predict one of them or both of them will go over 800 easily. And the reason is there's a storm coming. There's another one after that, another one, and I'll talk about it coming up.
Eagle Mountain residents are concerned about their tap water after some report feeling sick and developing skin problems.
Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule spoke with both residents and the city.
Bonnie and Brett Bartleson are two of many Eagle Mountain residents concerned about the city's tap water.
People getting sick, pets dying, mainly fish, the water tasting weird, salty, thick, oily.
So Brett began doing his own tests.
Tested it with a silver nitrate solution and it precipitates silver chloride, and it immediately precipitated, and that's pretty much just shows that there's a lot of chlorine in the water.
Bonnie says her daughter had an adverse reaction to her bath water and her son got sick.
I just started hearing her crying, and so I asked him what was going on, and she said that her skin hurt and that her body was itchy. And my biggest concern is that it's making people sick. It's making kids sick. There's something wrong. Something needs to be done.
Our testing is showing that the water is safe. There's nothing wrong with it, and as a result of that, that any thoughts or perceptions that our water quality may be connected to that are misguided.
Tyler Moffitt is the Eagle Mountain City Communications Manager. He says the change in water characteristics can be attributed to the city switching its water well source.
That has induced, I guess, a change in flavor profile and odor profile.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency says total dissolved solids in water should be at or below 500 milligrams per liter. Moffitt says Eagle Mountain's water well source tested in the mid-800s. But Moffitt says 800 is a number to think about, not be concerned about.
There are many sources that recommend many different things. What Eagle Mountain City does is follow the state of Utah's guidelines, which basically says anything below 2,000 is acceptable and safe to drink.
But the Bartlesons aren't convinced.
We've been living out here for about 3 years, and it's always been around 300. It would be nice to be on the average side of things.
If residents do have any concerns about their water, they are encouraged to reach out to the city or to the city's water department. In Eagle Mountain, I'm Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Have you seen these billboards around Salt Lake City yet? They're in response to Charles Barkley's comments during the NBA All-Star Game. You're going to hear from the person who put those signs up.
And more Jack in the Box locations are coming back to Utah. We'll tell you about the clues around northern Utah signifying their return.
Welcome back, everyone. If you are driving around Salt Lake City, you may notice billboards with big letters quoting Charles Barkley talking about Salt Lake City.
Now, next to his comment are pictures of Utahns doing some pretty exciting stuff. Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth saw the billboards and has the story behind them.
No one is surprised when Charles Barkley throws shade at a person or a place. That's largely his shtick. So the attention from his comments about Salt Lake City would have been no surprise to him.
People going to heaven up this way ain't nothing to do with this boring city. Now it's boring.
We heard Charles's comments. We really don't agree with that.
Brandon Wright put up these billboards. He owns Loud Marketing, and he decided Charles Barkley's take on Salt Lake City
It's a great city, but ain't nothing to do with it.
deserved a loud response.
Yeah, best snow on earth, best climbing on earth, excellent mountain biking, excellent hiking. If you go hike up on any of the hills that surround this city and watch the sunset, and tell me that's not a great way to spend your night, then you're lying.
Wright also knows where Barkley's coming from.
It's not Miami, it's Salt Lake. We do what we do well, and that just happens to be getting outside.
Loud Marketing is using hashtag #BoringSaltLake to solicit photos from Utahns doing things that are not boring. His plans, more billboards, but in Scottsdale, Arizona, Charles Barkley's hometown.
We all know that Charles Barkley's good at dishing it out, and I'm sure that he can take it as well. So we just want to, give it back to him a little bit and show him that, hey, it's not all boring here. There's plenty to do.
By the way, Scottsdale happens to be high on my unofficial list of cities far more boring than Salt Lake. Our winters are world famous for providing opportunities for fun, and their summers are world famous for being too dangerously hot to step outside. In studio, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, Jack in the Box lovers in Salt Lake, listen up. This is for you. Soon, you won't need to drive 4 hours to St. George or go to Idaho to get your Jack in the Box fix. Signage was spotted along 2100 South State Street in Salt Lake that said, "New box coming soon." On Google Maps, June is listed as the open date when you search for the location. Salt Lake City isn't the only place getting a Jack in the Box fast food restaurant. Ogden approved the restaurant at the southeast corner of Harrison Boulevard and 4800 South. Currently, there are 3 locations open in southern Utah. That's in Cedar City, Washington, and St. George.
And you can add one in West Jordan and Bountiful, and you know what I mean. Hey, we've got another storm coming in. It's not a big one. It's cold enough that it'll be all snow, but out here, way out here, you see that? That's the beginning of what will turn out to be another storm on Wednesday, and behind it, we're going to see atmospheric rivers forming and moving into California, and then the remnants coming over Utah. So here's our storm system that'll be moving towards Utah. So you can see it's not going to be precipitating tonight. It'll be tomorrow morning because it'll take that much time for it to get here. We do have a couple of showers that are right along what is the north edge of a cold front, which is sitting south of Provo. But it's north of that front that will be the active area once the storm system moves in. So that's why we're kind of watching it. A little bit of snow falling around Huntsville and kind of in the Snow Basin area. It's not much right now. I don't anticipate it'll be a lot. A couple of snow showers along the interstate out there towards Wendover. Temperatures on a beautiful night in St. George, 46. We have no gusts, but in Salt Lake City, we have a temperature of 32, but the wind is northwest 13. It makes it feel like it's in the 20s outside. So there's that 32. Here's 16 in Evanston, 31 in Price, 25 in Vernal and the Ashley Valley. It's 11 in Bryce Canyon, but look at the wind chills. This is what it feels like. 23 in Salt Lake. It feels a bit chilly out there. 39 in Hanksville, 6 in Evanston. Okay, here it comes. Developing overnight. This is about 4 a.m. Let's go to, here's 9 a.m. You can see this area developing right over the top of us, kind of from about Nephi to Ogden. And then this will continue until about, this is 4 p.m. So we get some snow morning into the early afternoon, then it'll be gone. So by about 4, 5, 6, 7 p.m., pretty much the precipitation ends. And then on Wednesday, we get a start of snow in the morning, and then this whole thing develops right over the top of us by 6, 7 p.m., and it continues into Wednesday night and Thursday morning. So here we are at 3 a.m., still snowing. This one will produce accumulating snow in the valleys and will probably cause some trouble on the roads, both on Wednesday and Thursday. But then we get a break Thursday during the day and the morning on Friday. But by Friday afternoon, this is right there. That's your atmospheric river coming in, and it's going to produce precipitation, off-again, on-again showers that will be very heavy at times in the mountains. Salt Lake City tomorrow, 38, and some snow around the state, mostly in the north. That's where the snow will be. In St. George, your temperatures will be warmer, and the precipitation will stay away until late Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday it actually warms to 70. For the Wasatch Front, 38 tomorrow, 37 with the snow and accumulations Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And then a big warm-up, rain, snow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, 53. Can you believe that? I hope you do.
BYU played 16th ranked St. Mary's in the semifinals of the WCC tournament. The Cougars played Gales tough in the first 2 regular season losses, and they were playing okay in the first half. Vicente Troy scores down low, but St. Mary's ended the first half on a 10-0 run. Aiden Mahaney for 3. The Gales led it by 17 points at the half. They led by as many as 26 in the second half, but the Cougars rallied. Dallin Hall to Atiki Aliatiki. Then he gets the block. Spencer Johnson gets ahead of the pack and lays it in. That cut the lead to 6. BYU cut the lead to 4 on this 3 from Hall with just under a minute to play, but St. Mary's held on to win at 76-69 to advance to the championship game. Weber State took on Sacramento State in the quarterfinals of the Big Sky Tournament. Stephen Verplankton knocks down the 3 for the Wildcats. KJ Cunningham was also making shots in the first half in the paint.
Cunningham
gets the bucket, put Weber State up 10. Here's Dylan Jones getting the friendly bounce. Weber State won this one 70-64 to advance. The BYU football team had their first spring practice today as they get ready for their first season in the Big 12 Conference. Fox 13's Andrea Urban was there.
Day 1 of spring ball feels a little different this season for BYU as they enter the Big 12 Conference, and transfer quarterback Keaton Slovis leads the offense.
The quarterbacks are way further ahead than I expected. I mean, there are obviously some mistakes out there, but not by them really. I think some of the mistakes that they had were just being aggressive on some throws and trying to force it rather than take what's easier.
He's been a great worker since he's been here. He's done a great job of showing like no entitlement. You know, he's just here to work, and he's one of the guys, but everybody knows the work he put in before he got here too, and he looks like he's been in our system for a while.
I thought it was good. First day wasn't perfect by any means, still some learning curves for everyone, I think timing stuff, but I thought for the most part for a first day, pretty proud of the way you guys competed. The receivers probably know the offense better than any receiver core I've ever been around, so that's really nice, and they know it really well. So after, maybe after a play we weren't sure, you can go talk to them. You can kind of trust their input. Obviously some receivers you can't always do that, but I think here they really know what they're doing. I take a lot of pride in proving to Coach A-Rod and Coach Matt that I can step in and operate the offense efficiently on a date.
There's not a lot of Big 12 teams that are afraid of us right now, and so we've got to go earn respect, and that starts with making the most of every rep every day.
This is just another phase that we're going through, so it means football is right around the corner.
A lot of practices to come, but BYU is feeling good about the future. With the Cougars, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 Sports.
It's the first of 15 practices this spring, so
yeah, there you go.
Big 12, exciting stuff for the Cougs.
I just can't believe it's spring football season.
Yeah,
it's like, what?
It is
How'd
March.
that happen?
Yeah. But it's too snowy for most people.
I know. I'm just ready for some March Madness.
Here we go.
Bring it. Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Finally, an invasive species in Utah is making headlines again. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. CNN posted a video about Utah's bullfrog population and some unusual ways to control it, namely by eating them. In 2019, the DWR posted an article about how to catch and cook bullfrogs. Oh. Some say they taste like chicken.
I was going to say, taste like chicken?
How do they taste, Dan?
Ribbit. I don't know. I've never eaten any.
I'm guessing a little chewy.
A little chewy.
Yeah.
If you put enough breading and fry them
Salt,
long enough,
whatever.
and some good dipping sauce. Quick Cast is next.
Yeah.